record. So, a lot of people in the Sketch Club app um, have been asking about what the layer modes mean in the iPad. So, layer modes in Sketch Club, that is. So, I'm going to try and do a short live tutorial, but it's probably going to end up being longer because I babble a lot, obviously. But I am going to at least go over uh, half of the layer modes. These are layer blend modes. Um, there is normal, multiply, screen, overlay, darken, lighten, dodge, burn, and soft light and hard light. I think I'll go over those. I might continue on depending on, I don't know how long this runs, but I'm actually going to use Photoshop to do this tutorial because it's just easier for me to record and so I can, you know, talk while showing my examples. But essentially the layer modes are the same in Sketch Club. So, yeah, here we go. So, um, we'll start with normal mode. Normal mode is obvious. What you see is what you get. Whatever you paint is pretty much what's going to be painted. If you go into your color picker, oh, I want this color. If you're at 100% opacity, you'll be getting that color. Now, we can go into multiply. So, take note that blending modes affect the layers below. So, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I have multiple layers here. So 1, 2, 1, 2. I can even add some layers. In Sketch Club, you are given 6 layers, and you can't subtract, but you can turn them on and off. You also can't add to the layers. But so if I put a blend mode on this layer that I'm moving around, it affects this layer and this layer. If I had more layers, whatever blend mode is on this top layer is going to affect everything that's below it. And if you have a blend mode on, let's say, this middle layer, again, everything that's below it is going to be affected by that blend mode. So, let's move on to multiply. Oh, got some chatters. Steedler, is chat not working? You can hear me at least, right? I'm gonna keep on talking. Even though, okay, so multiply. Multiply means, or here, let's write this down. Multiply. Multipass. Multiply. White turns transparent, essentially making colors kind of like stained glass. So the lighter the color is, the more translucent the color is. The darker the color you choose, the more opaque it's going to be. So this is really helpful for doing things like line art. So let's say, I did this on the wrong layer. Okay, let's say you had a white canvas, or even if you scanned in a photo, or not a photo, but a drawing, like you drew something, you scanned it in. Let's say you had white paper, and you drew, I don't know, like a face, like, wee, yay, yeah. There we go. Then you're like, oh no, how do I color this? I want to, make them all nice and colored. But now, the line work is in the way. What do I do? Oh! Well, what you can do is you can bring that layer that you have your line art with, and you bring that to the top, and then you just switch it to multiply. So now everything that's white is, pretty much invisible, and everything that's black comes through. So now the layers below, you can just color until your heart's content. You can just, do all sorts of crazy things on the layer below, which is what I'm painting on. So if we turn off this line art, you can see what's going on here. And yeah, that's multiply. Okay, moving on. Screen. So screen is the exact opposite of multiply. So multiply, again, turns white transparent, but in screen, black is what turns transparent. So the lighter the color, the more opaque. The darker the color, the more translucent. So, what kind of example would you use this for? Okay, I got one. Let's bring out Google. Google! So let's say you wanted like some crazy magic stuff. I don't know. Magic effects. Let's Google image this. Oh, here's a good one. Magic. So, oh, well, yeah. Let's use this. So you can see that there's black as the background, and there's like all sorts of crazy color in there, but we just want the color. So, and let's say we had, a drawing underneath it. Oh no. Bunny! Yay! Okay, so, oh, I want magic on the bunny. How do I do that? So we have this magic photo here. You can also do it when when you're painting. You can just have like blotches of color. But anyway, so if we put this on screen, it should remove all the black. So, whoops. But apparently, you can't really see it because I don't have color underneath. So let's actually color the bunny. Here we go. So you can see kind of, let's just fill this up. You can see the color that was there beforehand. Now it looks like the magic's kind of floating on there when it was. Okay, this is how it was normal, and this is how it is screen. So, to use this as a painting technique, what you can do is just put your layer mode on screen and just start choosing I don't know how to describe magical colors. And here I'm using like a blue. I'm gonna go into white. And if you can tell, like the edges that it affects kind of dodge color around whatever is underneath. So, yeah. At least in Photoshop, a good way to use this is if you just fill up your whole canvas with black. And, oh, computer freeze. And, at least in Photoshop, there are some cheesy things in here. One of them, of course, is the lens flare. So you can just pop in a lens flare, and you see how the lens flare is kind of attached to this black layer. You just add screen to it, and boom, you got lens flare that's now mobile. So, oh, and sorry about, sometimes when I'm in the zone, I'm not quite reading chat, but feel free to ask questions, and I'll try to catch up and read what's going on. Here, I'll just read a few things if there's any questions. In fact, if you do have a question, put like 10 question marks behind it so I could just skim through and look at what has questions and what aren't really pertaining to this. So, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Let's see. So we gone through multiply screen. Now let's go into overlay. Okay, so I've explained multiply, I explained screen. Overlay is both multiply and screen, but it depends on where or what color you're choosing and if it's above the 50% mark on your color picker. Sounds like all mathy, magic and stuff, but 50% is this middle area here. It goes all the way across. And 50% gray when you're on overlay is pretty much invisible. So I chose 50% gray. Here, let's make it exactly 50%. Okay, 50% gray. I'm going to start painting. And nothing's there. But if I were to change this layer to normal, you can see that there's my gray line. Here, let's put something below it. It's a little bit hard to see what the blend mode layers are doing when they're not blending with anything. So, let's try. Mona Lisa. Hot. Okay. Let's put here, there. Okay. So, again, here is our gray line, normal. Here it is in overlay. Now, why would you use overlay, you might say? Well, if you use a lighter color, it screens. So now you can see that things are getting brighter. This is really great for things like doing like highlights and stuff. So if I wanted to add like another light source here and just start highlighting things. Highlight the chin and the eyebrow, I don't know, maybe like the hair and stuff. And there. Now if you go below 50% gray, it multiplies. So let's choose like a darker color around here. You can use this. Now you can see it kind of burns and multiplies and stained glasses over the color below. So you can use that. I know I do for things like shading and stuff. It gives like a richer color too. Hey guys, if other people in chat are kind of looking for the link or interested, can someone just, if anyone's asking questions, just shoot them the link so they can start watching, and so they can, in case other people want to ask questions or whatnot. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. So, one thing that's also really great for overlay is things with texture. So, let's go back to our trusty Google, and let's get some bricks. Because I've seen some people do this, but on Sketch Club, and they want to, let's say they wanted to make graffiti or whatnot. So you have a brick wall here, and someone wants to, tag this, like, oh, I want to make, cool. Right now it's on normal mode. And then get another color here, I don't know, like green. this up a bit. And again, I'm on a layer above the brick layer. Let's get another, I don't know. Let's go for a yellow. Like a bright yellow. And let's go with, I don't know, a dark purple. Whatever. Yep. There's my crappy attempt at tagging. So, now let's drop it into overlay. Boom. So now you can see that it kind of applies that color onto the texture that we have below, and it actually looks like it's painted on there. So, normal, overlay, normal, overlay. Also, depending on what colors you use, this can also go great with, multiply. Multiply works, but it also darkens the image as a reminder because it does remove all white. But you can, bounce around with the opacity of your layer. So, like this is like 60%, like it's faded. But overlay does well with things like, if you want like a wood texture on a table, you can do that. In fact, let's do that. Sorry. Layer modes are going crazy. Let's find a wood texture. Wood. Oh, I hope. Okay, good. I was like, wiener pictures are gonna be everywhere. So, but I lucked out. It's okay, you guys. It's okay. BP would be so mad at me. Anyway. Why are you posting porn on Sketch? Anyway. Okay. So let's remove these bricks. So okay. So we have wood texture here, and let's just repeat that there. And let's say, I don't know why, but someone has like let's switch modes here. Someone has a vase or something, a wooden vase. Holy crap, Photoshop, stop freaking out. Okay, so there's my awesome vase, and then you can, highlight it however you want. Let's add some dark color here. So let's say you have this all nice and rendered out. It's not really nice and rendered, but you get the idea. And everyone's like, oh wow, that's a sweet looking vase. If only it was made out of wood. Well, guess what? So you have this wood texture. Pop it on overlay. Oh, snap! Well, it doesn't look that nice, but snap! Look at that! It's a wooden vase. Or a chalice, if you will. So, yeah. Overlay can be really, really useful when it comes to, adding textures. I suggest using this as your import photo feature use, because a lot of people who have been importing photos into Sketch Club have not been using it for the reasons of why it was put in there for the first place. This is definitely a good reason to use the import photo feature, so I highly recommend, this could definitely add, a little bit more variation to whatever you're painting. You can also drop the opacity of your overlay layer. You can also, because it's on another layer, you can start erasing parts of it that you don't want texture to show in. So here I'm just gonna start like erasing areas like that. So super, super cool. Okay, what is next on the agenda? Okay, so normal, multiply, screen, overlay, um, darken, darken. I guess we can go into darken. Like a lot of these layer modes, honestly, like I don't even remember what they do. I know kind of what the result is. But really, you just gonna have to paint. If you want to add colors to things, you just flip through all your layer modes to see kind of what's good, what's not. Um, oh, we got a question. How do you stroke with clean line around base, for example? Um, let's see. Well, for Sketch Club, they do have a vector loop, which I can't really demonstrate here because I'm using Photoshop. But I guess to get a straight line, yeah, here let's get our vase back. Okay, so here's a vase, but it's also on another layer, and you can tell that it's on another layer because if I just start painting, whoops, that's not the paintbrush. If I just start painting over here like that, we have our vase and we can move it around. Oops, wrong thing. We can move the vase around. You can't move things in Sketch Club, unfortunately, but you can, have things on different layers. So when you have things on different layers, you can always, like if you have rough edges, for me, I like to also erase, around, so it's like, oh no, this isn't very clean. Instead of repainting this edge over and over and over again, you can just also erase bits and pieces you don't want. So I can make this smoother by doing that. But again, I would suggest kind of checking out the vector. What is it called? Does anyone know what it's called? The vector brush, and it has a not an auto loop, but like a auto fill feature on it. But the way the vector tool kind of works, I guess I can kind of demonstrate here, but it's kind of like, it's like this. And then when you're done, you have, like a nice shape. So if I wanted to do a highlight here, the vector loop, I can just, start making the shape I want and then connecting it, and then you have that sharp edge. Well, you can do a combination of things with all sorts of okay, the question was that, or the comment was that the vector does not look natural. But I mean, if you want to do it this way, you can. You don't have to. But to get like a more natural look, you can also, there's like a blur tool in Sketch Club. I know Photoshop has one as well, but here I'll use Photoshop's. But to get like softer edges in that, you just kind of blur the edge, and so now you don't have that sharp edge anymore, and so it kind of looks a bit more natural. And because again it's on a different layer that you're doing this, you can also drop the opacity, so you can make it more see-through or more opaque. Also, again, there's other different ways to do this. Again, because it's on another layer, you can use a very soft erase brush and make the erase brush like low opacity and just start erasing a little bit. So like I'm using the eraser right now, and for this black area I can just start, erasing for a soft edge. So you can do things like that. Okay. Okay, so moving on. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Where were we? I think we were talking about darken. Or I was talking about darken. Okay, darken layer. How do I explain this? Let's see. So, on the darken layer, because again your blend layers are always, here, let me draw this so it's not always like a blank screen. So, because your blend modes, blend, are always on top of your whatever your drawing is. Like everyone draws like a flower, bleh, and there's always like a freaking bird of some sort that they always draw for no. And then there's a tree that looks like an ice cream cone. Oh, anyway, so this is your main, thing you want to apply this blend to. So with darken, whatever colors are over here and whatever colors are over here, I don't know what these scribbles are, but anyway, whichever of the two is darker, okay, so whichever one is darker, let's say this one's darker, the darker, like, the color from here is going to replace the darker color there. If this one's darker, the color from here is going to replace the color from here. It's a little bit confusing, but where did I put Mona Lisa? Mona Lisa? Google. Dang it. Photoshop, stop it. Okay. Okay. Mona Lisa. Let's put her back in here. So, darken. So right now I have my top layer on normal, so let's just start popping in some colors. Got red. Let's get like a really dark color. Got dark red. Got dark green. And let's say light blue. Light blue. Okay, so let's apply it on darken. So, because, let's get on another layer. Okay, so, because this light blue was lighter than the Mona Lisa replaced the light blue. Because this dark green is darker than the Mona Lisa, it replaces the Mona Lisa. Dark red, darker than Mona Lisa, replaces the Mona Lisa. Light red is kind of at a cross right now, so you can see some of the Mona Lisa replacing the red, and this area is actually lighter, so it's not replacing the red, but this area is darker, so it is replacing. So hopefully that makes kind of sense. Examples of using this, it's hard to say. You can get cool different effects with it when you apply, things like textures. But really, it's like a lot of the times when I'm painting and I want like certain colors to show through, I'll just kind of scroll and kind of look at all of my layer modes to see what looks appropriate and what doesn't. Sometimes, I land on darken and I say, hey, that looks pretty good, but sometimes I don't. So I can't think of a specific example of why I would use this, but it's an option. There you go. Okay, the next layer after that, I believe, is, what is it, dodge? Okay, so let's go into dodge. Dodge and burn. Those are two different layer modes. They're actually tools in Photoshop, but I'll use them anyway because I'm sure the same effect will happen in Sketch Club. So, here, let's start drawing. Okay, so dodge. Dodging kind of intensifies and screens and brightens whatever colors are below the blend mode. And burn does the exact opposite. It ends up, multiplying, and I don't know another word for it besides burn. It darkens, multiplies, and intensifies, like heavily saturates the color that's below the blend mode layer. So, let's see. How would I use this? So I use this actually quite a bit. I use it when I do my overall highlighting and my overall, darkening, as well as, I use it for overlay. So here, what kind of example could I use? We already use the Mona Lisa a lot. Let's get something else. Lion King, how about that? Images. Oh, it's a good image. Is this a good one? This looks alright. Yeah, why not? Okay. So, dodge and burn. So, dodging. Again, whatever colors are below, it's going to, saturate and brighten and kind of screen on it. So, let's bump that up. It's not working very well. What is up with my breath? Oh, it's at 10%. There we go. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but maybe this isn't quite the good photo as I want to use, but so let's say I wanted to add some highlights. I can start brightening up here, adding some highlights here. And so again, if I apply it to, this orange, it turns into a brighter orange. If I apply it to, this brown, it turns, into a brighter brown, more orangey. Again, here's some blue. Apply it to blue, it turns into a bright blue until it pretty much blows out into a white. So, and I think it's a bit more, it's more intense when you do it on darker colors. Question was, am I using the Wacom, and what tool am I using? So I'm using a Wacom in Photoshop right now, and I am using the dodge tool, and I will be using the burn tool that is in Photoshop. I kind of assume that they are the same thing in the blend modes for Sketch Club. So we got some highlighted areas here. And again, like the darker the color you're working over, it should kind of saturate and turn it into like a brighter color. And I don't mean lighter, I mean brighter. So if this is like a purple, it turns into like a really saturated red. If this is like already a pastel color, it's just going to turn white. Another question is what kind of Wacom tablet I use, and what do I recommend? I currently use the Intuos 2. It's super old. I've had this thing since like 2003 or 2004, I don't remember, but it's super durable. I dropped it like 1,000 times on hard cement and it's still working. I like the size of it a lot. I can still, have it on my lap. I can still fit it on my desk and still reach the keyboard. I don't really like the huge tablets because I have really short baby arms. And so it's really hard for me to, have the tablet on one side and then like reach over to my keyboard and, you know, work the hotkeys for Photoshop. Um, I heard a lot of people like the new, I think, Intos 4. It's the black one. It has like a toothier, more friction on the, I don't know what you call it, the active area of where you draw. It's not as smooth. But a lot of people like that because it feels more like paper when you're on it. There's also a lot of hotkeys that you can apply on the Intos 4. So there's that. If I have enough money, I really would like to get the 21-inch Cintiq, which is pretty much the monitor that you draw on. But I never have enough money because I'm so poor. All artists are poor. Well, not all, just me. So let me emphasize the poorness and my sadness in my tone of voice. Um, yeah. Okay. So I think I digressed. Anyway, moving on to happier things like the burn tool. So burn, I just showed you dodge. Dodge brightens. So burn tool, pretty much the same thing, but the exact opposite. That sounds kind of like a weird oxymoron, but darker colors are going to turn pretty much black, kind of like how in the dodge tool lighter colors turned white. But you're going to have like all your saturated colors are just going to be way more saturated. Again, this orange is just going to turn into a darker orange. This red is going to turn into like a darker red. This blue is going to turn into a darker blue. And oh, this green is going to turn into a purple. Kidding, darker green. So that's how that works. I like to use it a lot just to get, overall shading effect instead of, selecting colors one by one. Oh, I need to make this color, and this color this way. Like this gives you more consistency with your shading when you do like an overall layout, and it looks a lot softer because you have a broader stroke over the whole image as opposed to, like if I were to paint the shadow, then like I have my brush and then I have to, kind of go all up in there and kind of work the colors to do that. So, I mean, the burn tool kind of gives you a broader spectrum, but you can overdo it. Like a lot of people scoff at the dodge and burn tool because they think it's the easy way out, and it kind of is, but you can overdo it like anything else. So you know be wise and be limited when you use it, otherwise it's just going to be cheesy looking. So be wary of that. It's like having 1,000 lens flares. Oh, why hello, Sir BP. I changed the meat of the day. Sorry. Okay. And let's go into soft light and hard light as well, I guess. Okay. What have I gone over? I've gone over multiply, screen, overlay, darken, lighten? I don't know. Dodge, burn. Okay, soft light. Let's do soft light. Oh no, apparently my chat does not work on the Ustream. That is super lame. Sorry, you guys. At least it worked for one person. I can still read your stuff here, but you're gonna have to, like, label your questions for me to identify it from it being, like, regular chat. Like, put, like, 5 question marks at the end of your question so I know it's towards me. Oh. Okay, so apparently Black Pond got it to work by popping in a new window, so that's good. Okay. Soft light. Okay, soft light. Soft light is kind of like overlay. Um, only it's dependent on the color that's underneath that layer you're blending to, and that color underneath will either cause it to screen or multiply. So remember in overlay that whatever color you choose, if it's, above 50%, um, okay, so in overlay, if it's above 50%, it brightens the picture below. If it's below 50%, it darkens the, the picture below. And when I mean brighten, I mean screen. When I mean darken, I mean multiply. So screen at this area, multiply at this area. So soft light does that, but the only difference is it just chooses the color as your color picker. So if I choose, this color, it doesn't matter. It's just going to be, this color here. If I choose this area right here, it's just going to be, this hue. It's choosing the hue, really. So this is the only thing that affects it, like color-wise. But when it comes to levels, levels are different. Because the image below is what's going to determine whether it's going to screen or multiply. So we have Simba here that I painted over, but let's get a new layer, put it on soft light. So I got my color. Let's use this pink. So in theory, because this area is super light, the color I'm using should start screening over it, which it is. Now, because this color is really dark, it should start multiplying over it, which it is. So that's how that works. So it starts brightening areas that are brightening and darkening areas that are dark. But keyword is soft, so it does it very subtly. So, and then we can move into hard light, which is super easy because pretty much hard light does the same thing, only harder. That looks terrible. So yeah, you can see that pretty much the bright areas are going neon and the dark areas are, well, going neon, but still. I don't really know what I would use hard light for. I do use soft light a lot. If I were using it, I would use it kind of like how I use Oh, sorry, that was my chair. I really need to grease up my chair. Um, anyway, don't mind the screaming baby that's next to me. So when I use soft light, I use it kind of like how I use overlay. Overlay affects things more on a color sense and you have more control. Soft light kind of gives that nice subtle look. So if you want to do some texture work but you don't want to overdo it, I suggest using soft light. I don't. How much time? What time is it? Oh man, I've been going over for like an hour. I think I'm gonna stop. Should I start going on? Okay, I guess we can go over to the next ones. I'm gonna have to improv these though. I wrote down what I was going to say for those layers, but I didn't write down for the other layers. So, what? Wrong thing. So, let's get a picture here. Okay. I don't know whose this is, but they have a nice painting of tulips. So let's get these tulips up in here. So, difference, I believe it just does the difference of colors, yeah. So difference, I don't know if it's the same in Sketch Club actually because I haven't used it. But in Photoshop at least, it inverses the color that's below your blend mode. Okay. Beefy has just confirmed that it is, so it pretty much inverses on the color wheel. If you guys remember, there's a tutorial I made that is on Sketch Club. It's not really a tutorial so much as me dropping some knowledge on you. The color wheel, it goes backwards. So whatever is on the opposite end of the spectrum. So if you have blue, it's going to be orange, I think, right? Yeah. If you have green, it's going to be purple. Yeah. If you have orange, it's going to be blue. Oh, so there we go. Yeah. So inverse, like, I mean, there's a hotkey in Photoshop that does it. That doesn't work. Work. Why won't you? Oh, that's why. My bad. Oh, that doesn't do it. Psych. Anyway, whatever. Okay, it just flips the difference on the color wheel, pretty much. Okay, BP just asked if it's totally worthless. How do I put this without just completely saying yes? Uh, in some cases, someone might want to use it for getting for comic book effects, because I know some comics or anime or cartoons use it like as flash frames, kind of like Spider-Man is like, oh no, my spider sense is going off, and then they use that. So, so if you want to do that, I mean, you know, there's that. But I don't know in what cases I would use it for. Let me see if I can figure out how would I use it here. Let's see. I'm gonna put this on difference. And it does nothing. Yay. What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, difference pretty much. What is it doing? Yeah, it inverses the image. So. Get your techno on. So. Bison dollars, yes. If I can figure out a use for it, I will totally get reimbursed for all the bison dollars you gave me. Or, excuse me, that I gave you. So yeah, that's difference. Okay, let's go to, what's the other one? Exclusion, I think is the next one. Exclusion mode. Where is it? Okay, exclusion. Hello? Oh, fuck. Sorry, I swore. Oh, I was doing so well, too. Oh. Really? Okay, so... looks like exclusion pretty much does the same thing depending on where you are in your color scheme. Wait. Oh, wait. I think, so I think whatever inverses it to white, it picks up the color and replaces that color with it. And backwards. I don't know. I don't know what it does. I don't use it. That's why. Difference in exclusion. There you go. 2 effects if you want to do some cool techno things. I don't know. Okay, hue. I kind of use that. Let's move on to hue. Something that's It's useful. Yes, someone commented LSD effect, which is very true. Drop some acid though, I don't think you'll need to use the effect to see the colors. So, okay, so hue, pretty much going up and down here to get a brighter color or a darker color is completely useless. Or getting a more saturated, does saturation matter? I don't think so. But what matters is the color you choose on the side here. So red or purple or blue or green or whatever. That is what a hue is. It's not shade, it's not tint, it's hue. So we got a blue here. So anything you paint over kind of just multiplies the color over it. And it also removes the color that's below it. So it pretty much desaturizes and colorizes with the color that you're painting with. I do use this, and I use it to get like an overall value tone in a lot of the things I paint. So if I want like a really warm scene, like this is really bright, but if I wanted it like warm and summery or something, I will just fill up my I will fill up my canvas with, like a nice warm color, and then I will go to hue, which kind of, makes everything yellow, but then I will also drop the opacity down super, super low. So this is 0, but I'll keep it at like maybe like a 25%. So that makes the whole scene nice and warm. So normal, warm, normal, warm. And you can do the same. I'll switch the color to like a blue color or something. So here's a blue color. So everything's a little bit, cooler colors. But I also do the same with overlay. I mostly use overlay though than hue. Hue is just a nice thing to use if I don't want to mess around with any of the contrast of the image that's below. So if I like where my lights and darks are, I'll use hue. If I just want to, blast everything with intense color, then I'll end up using overlay. So there's that. Saturation is next. I don't know how to describe saturation. Besides the fact that it saturates colors. So, saturation. It takes the color you have and it blasts out the color that's below. I don't know what else. BP, you want to chime in for the mathematics? I don't see what other thing it does besides that. Desaturation is super useful actually, because you'll get some really crappy intense colors that you don't want to use. I do use it when I'm messing around with like the burn tool, because the burn tool heavily saturates things, so I kind of want to do like both kind of effects. Also, sometimes I like to desaturate like when I'm painting and I realize that I'm doing a crappy job on color because I can't figure out my contrast. I like to drop everything into a desaturated mode. So like here, let's get a portrait here. Here you go. And portrait. Okay. So let's get that. Oh no, what are you doing? Honest, no. Let's not get that. Okay, let's get her. Cool. It's hot. Anyway. Okay, let's get this one. So let's say I was drawing this, but I didn't really like the colors I was going for. I can just desaturate it. But again, this isn't a feature in Sketch Club, right? Or am I missing something? because if it is, I haven't seen it. But anyway, if there was a feature for desaturation, this is kind of a method I would use. And this is off of the top of my head from what I've used it for, but I've used it for other things as well. Um, let's see. So for desaturation, let's say I was painting, didn't like the colors, I drop everything in saturation. Then I go into a second layer, if you can see my layers here. Here's the layer that my drawing would be on. Top layer above it, let's start switching it to like, I don't know, let's say hue. Oh, another use for hue. Okay. So let's say I start, kind of painting in the colors. Huh. Is that? Why is it not working? Huh. Oh, it's too brighter. Or not. Huh. Why? Huh? Oh, that's odd. Why is this not working? Hue. Oh. Wait. Maybe it's not hue. Maybe it's saturation. No. Oh, never mind. That's color. Duh. I get the two confused. I guess we'll go into color then, since I'm on there. So, color. Yeah. um, color is kind of like hue, but not. Color is whatever color you choose, which is, in these segments here. It applies in a state that's kind of like. It kind of multiplies and replaces like your black for a more intense, darker color version of that, and then your whites for a brighter color of the color you chose. So if I had like, a desaturated version of the drawing that I did, I can choose my colors on and put it on color mode in a layer above and just start, applying color. So I'm going to choose like this weird, gross golden yellow color and then say, you know what? I want to add a little bit of red to the cheeks, so we can just start adding red. So, and I'll put it on the nose too. So, like, start adding that there. And then, you know what? I don't like colors that are just the darker version of the color, of the base color that I'm using. So, I'm just gonna get like a purple here and then put that as like the shading area, but it's a little bit too strong right now. So, so this is a little bit too strong right now, but then, I would take another layer on top of that, go into normal mode, and that's when I would actually legitimately be painting my real colors. So I want like a yellowy color for highlights or something. Because right now it still kind of looks desaturated but with color, which kind of sounds like contradicting terms, but the fact that you have no blending colors within one another and there's no variation, that's the problem. So you don't have mixing colors. So I'd start like, adding whatever highlights, yellow highlights here and here. And some like darker colors, I guess, here. But anyway, and I would probably drop the opacity down a bit. Well, but you guys kind of get the dealio. Well, a lot of people do this for old photos, but they use markers, so. Let's see, let's see, what else is there? Luminosity. I think luminosity just removes color What does it do? I think it just it takes your above layer that could be desaturated, and it takes the highs and lows, so the whites and the darks still remain, but then it uses the layer below as your color layer. So it's kind of like what I just showed you, but backwards. So like upside down when it comes to your layer effects. So let's bring this chick back. So here's her color version, and then we'll use luminosity. So if I were to use like gray, I think this should turn black and white, I think. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, no. I guess not. What does it do? I'm trying to remember. Huh. Or maybe it's backwards. I rarely use luminosity as well, so I'm trying to figure this out. That's not it. What does luminosity do? Oh, I see. Okay. Let's grab a color so I can identify it. Looks like luminosity takes whatever, I don't know, if I use white. Okay, if I use a darker color. Okay, I think it takes whatever level percentage of your gray tone that's on here. Like, let's say it's at 50% gray. And anything that's below 50% gray, it covers up, maybe? And it replaces it with the adjacent colors. I don't know. I'd have to Google it. I don't use it. Here, let me look this up, you guys. If I have a friggin... Do I have any here? Luminosity. So I guess it's a combination of color and hue. So, it colorizes the blend image, which is, you know, the painting, using the colors that are, wait, bleh. Okay, it colorizes the image that's above, that you're blending to, using the colors that are below. Apparently BP wants me to make things that glow. So, okay, so I think I kind of get what they're saying. So, we have this lady with her colors. Now let's get like a random texture or something. Let's get like, I don't know, bricks. Bricks. Let's use this one again. Bricks. Okay, so I'm guessing if we put this brick pattern in luminosity, it remains a brick pattern, but it's gonna have these colors of this lady applied to it. So let's see if that's what happens. Oh snap, dog. It does. So, but it doesn't keep the highs and lows. So you don't get darker values or lighter values, you just straight up get like the hue. So this is green, pops on green. This is tan, pops on tan. So I guess, you know, that could be useful if you wanted to, you know, put like pee on the wall or something. So, hooray! Oh, really? Joe suggested it would be good for tattoos. I've done some Photoshop tattoos, and I've never used luminosity. That would probably work really well. But I tend to always use overlay when it comes to that. Oh, Joe is aka Erlich. So, hooray! So that concludes the sort of improv layer tutorial on Sketch Club apps, but using Photoshop as an example. Let me just finish up this recording. Hopefully I can put it on YouTube for anyone who missed it. But I don't know if I can put, like, cause this is like an hour-long video or something. But we'll see. I'm sure BP can figure out a way, cause he's like a computer genius. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'll still be online. I'm just going to stop the recording though. Okay, cool. Yeah, pre-TV. Yeah.